What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we are back with some more draft talk. Now, this is my rough copy of my big board. We're gonna fly through this thing because really what the whole point of this is that I can get your guys' feedback so that I can update it for Thursday's draft. Okay, I need time to update it and read through comments. So I need you guys to comment. I'm gonna try to get this out as soon as possible. I thought if I get this out Wednesday, best case scenario is by Wednesday night, possibly Thursday morning, I get enough comments and, responses where I maybe can tweak some things. But then I'm working in a time where I should be preparing for the draft. I don't want to mess with that. I'm going to try to get it out tonight, Tuesday, so that you guys can leave your comments today. And then Wednesday, we can update this thing. And we can go over pretty much a rough copy, maybe make a few tweaks at the end. But there's definitely going to need to be things changed. I can already go with that already on what I've done so far. So basically what my plan is to make a huge big board for the Lions. Let me emphasize that a lot, because this is not for the entire NFL. This is not your top 100 players in the draft. This is your top maybe 100 players for the Detroit Lions in this draft by needs, simply needs. I mean, certain positions, maybe linebacker isn't the biggest, need because we have a lot of linebackers. But the thing at linebacker is that we don't have a lot of coverage guys. We have a lot of run stoppers. So, for example, a lot of coverage guys can be higher than run stoppers. Why? Maybe not because they're just better overall, but because they help us and they fill out a need that we have. So that's exactly what this is. I went every single position in this year's draft, and I ranked my top 10 players for most of them. Wide receiver is one of the exceptions because there's 100 wide receivers that were really, really good. And then quarterback, I didn't have 10. I wasn't able to come up with 10. I don't know enough of the really late round quarterbacks, and I'm not including Burrow, Tua, or Herbert. Just because, keep it fair, I don't think any of these guys are even on the big board. I didn't see a point of putting them there. I really didn't, because if they take Tua, they're not going to take a quarterback anyways, right? So I didn't see a point of even adding them to the list. We'll see what happens. I thought then taking a quarterback is that's the percentage chance I have then taking a quarterback. So in that early. So we're looking at more mid-round, later-round picks for quarterbacks. So basically what I need you guys to do is comment below things that you would change. Now, I can't change everything. I can't go off of every comment I see. I only can do a few of them. Why? Because I can't please everybody. This is my big board for the Lions, but I also want your guys' input because you guys are going to be here with the live stream with me, hopefully, for the draft. And I want to have a big board that we can look at just for fun. I mean, it's nothing serious. It's just fun to look at and really just see how accurate we are. Maybe they'll take a number one guy off the big board at one point, and it's whoa, what? They actually did it. It's just have some fun with it. So I think that'd be kind of cool. Or we could look at it and be wow, they really reached here. Look how far he's on our big board. That'd be pretty cool if we want to look by position. But I also want to take every single player that I put in here by position and put it on one big group. That I may not get the feedback for. I could probably show you guys Wednesday if I get it done. But that's going to be hard, right? It's going to be hard to really value position over position, but I'll try my best. Simply, it's just going to be based on positional needs probably, and I'll try to mix them in. But I thought the easiest way to do it, to start off, would go position by position, top 10 players at each position. What I need you guys to do is help me on certain players, certain positions. I need any feedback. What you guys have to do, if you see a comment that you want or you agree with or something that you want changed, to like the comment. If you don't like the comment, I won't see it. If I get 50 comments of different things, I can't really do anything, right? Because it doesn't show me that, okay, multiple people want to see this, and it also is probably going to go against something that someone else wants to see. So I'm willing to change things, because a lot of these are all my opinion, but I'm willing to change things if there's multiple people that are with that. If there's one person, then it's nothing against you. I mean, it's really nothing against you, but I just need to be appreciated by more people. That way it's more people can kind of go with it. So it's really this is for the fans. This is for the fans. So comment below things you want changed and like comments that you agree with so I can see them so that I change them. All right. I'm sorry I started there. There's a lot to talk about. We got to get right into this. I'll tell you guys when I need help. Let's get started. We're going to start off with the edge rusher position. At edge rusher, here are my top 10 players. Now, again, these are for the Lions, not for the draft. I cannot stress that enough. For the Detroit Lions draft, not every NFL team. Coming in number 1, Chase Young. No, nothing needed there. Then number 2, we got AJ Epinesa. I think he's more of a defensive lineman, and some people don't understand that we're a multiple D. We are not a 3-4. We are not a 4-3. We are not just a nickel. We play nickel a lot. That's not what we just are, though. We are a multiple defense that plays different positions based on our talent that we have. Matt Patricia is a defensive guru. That's what the thought is. And because of that, he can adjust to the talent that we have. So people say, okay, I don't know how Young would fit. Young would fit as a defensive lineman or the jack role, depending on what Matt Patricia sees the best. I think he'd be a defensive lineman for us. We'd probably go to 3-4. I mean, heck, we could probably mix this a 4-3 if we had to. If that was really our talent and we were just so strong at defensive line, he'd be dumb not to switch to 4-3, right? Or some way to get all these rushers involved. He'll figure it out. Okay, we just need to get the talent. That's all it is. We have to find guys that that are talented and that can make plays and that can have production. So number 1 is Chase Young. Number 2, AJ Epinesa. I think he'd be on the D-line a little bit. In the 3-4, he'd be a defensive end, and 2 down linemen. It could be him and Trey Flowers, something like that. Number 3, I have Curtis Weaver. The production is there. He grades out extremely well. Yes, at Boise State, but really no way I could keep him off of here. He's incredible. Number 4, I went Josh Uche. Probably the most versatile edge rusher on this. Not necessarily just a pass rusher, but I also think a guy that can play a little bit of linebacker. Blitzes well in the inside, which we know Matt Patricia goes for, and he's from Michigan. Number 5, Kayvon Chasen. You're probably like, why is he not higher? Simply, it's injuries. I'm scared of injuries. I don't like bringing up players that have injury history, and because of that, I'm putting him lower on my list. Now, to the entire NFL, he's probably like 2 or 3. But to me, he's 5 because of injuries. And, last season just is like, wow. I don't want to see that happen again. We need guys that have at least had history of staying healthy. If someone gets hurt and you're not expecting it to happen, but if you're bringing in guys that have been continuously hurt in college and he gets hurt in the NFL, you had that coming, right? Because that's what happened in college. So you have to understand that. Number 6, I went Yetur Gross-Matos, one of the most consistent players in this year's draft. And at the edge rusher position, again, another defensive lineman here in my eyes. Number 7, I went Julian Okwara, related to Romeo Okwara. Has all this technique and skills and everything that you would think to make a great pass rusher, and he looks like he really could be. The production just doesn't match the hype, and that's very concerning. So he's at 7, but he still is very good, and I would have no problem with bringing him in, just not in round 1, possibly, or even round 2. Number 8, I went Darrell Taylor, a guy that's not talked about a lot. This last year, he just kind of came off the charts. I think he had 8.5 sacks. He just balled out. Number 9, Terrell Lewis out of Alabama. The Detroit Lions actually had a virtual visit with him. That can also have an impact, okay? If I think that the Lions are more interested in these players, that can have an impact on where they rank them or where you guys should rank them. So Terrell Lewis is in the top 10 because of that reason. And then number 10, I went with Bradley and another guy that they met with and another very explosive, talented player. I'm just trying to see who that is. Oh, did you guys hear about what the heck? Gronkowski traded? That's wild. All right, I'm going to cut away real quick because they do show some personal information, and we'll be back with the next position. Boom, we're on a tight end here. Now, this one is probably the hardest one for me to do. I don't follow tight ends. It's not a need of the Lions. The Lions have T. Jackson, Jesse James. I don't follow tight ends. Last year makes sense. This year, I don't follow it. And because of that, I don't know him that well. Really, I'm just basing a lot of this off what I've seen at the Combine and what other people have said. That's really all it is. Haven't got to see a lot because I can't watch everybody. I can't watch every single player because I just don't have time for it. Not right now, not with the draft in 2 days. So here's my top 10. Please feel free to give me any ideas of changes that you would make. I will definitely change this group. I will not hesitate to move this around as long as it makes sense and you can, make an argument for it or something. I will not hesitate, especially if multiple people want to see it. I do like Adam Troutman, probably the best. That's why he's at 2. Hunter Bryant, I've just heard, is by far the best tight end in this group. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Thaddeus Moss, the son of Randy Moss, at 6. Cheyenne O'Grady, I liked him at the Combine as well. So I'm just going to touch on this one. No reason to waste time. Oh, Stephen Sullivan. He was a wide receiver to move to tight end, so that's why he's high on my list. He's got that ability. All right, boom, we're on to safety. Let's get the safety thing started. We got to get this thing flying. There's a lot of positional groups. At number 1, we have Xavier McKinney. Xavier McKinney, I think, is the best polished safety in this draft, and he also helps in the run a lot. Very, really good in the run. Very good in the run, against the run. And because of that, he's number 1. Now, Grant Delpit, in some people's eyes, is a better safety. Coverage-wise, I can see the argument for that. Problem is, he's not as much of a tackler as Xavier McKinney is. And in some defenses, that's okay. You're looking for more of a Grant Delpit. For the Lions defense, I'm looking for a McKinney because I just feel like that's what Patricia targets. Patricia and Bob Quinn, I feel like aren't going to target a guy that can't really tackle or doesn't tackle that well. They'd probably rather go after a guy like McKinney that can do both very well. Next up, Kyle Duggar. Definitely has some size there. Can play in the box just like Jeremy Chin. That's why both of those guys are so high. And I know there's concerns about Jeremy Chin and those guys because, the production wasn't insane. They didn't play great talent. But the thing about these guys is that they can play in the box and they give us a different element. We have Deron Harmon, who I think is going to start. We have Tracy Walker, who's going to start. Potentially Will Harris could start. But I wanted a guy that could do something different, something that could mix it up. And that's a guy that can move to the box and help out. Possibly, like if we don't get Isaiah Simmons, a guy like that. That's why those two guys are ranked so high in my eyes. Ashton Davis is a great coverage player. He can drop down the slot and actually play some slot corner, I believe. So he give you a little bit of versatility to play different positions. Geno Stone, just super exciting. Very good ball hawk, and he just flies around the field. I think he's a very smart player. This is one of those guys that you want to talk about smart players. I know it's just my opinion, but what I've seen, Geno Stone looks like a really smart guy on the field. Number 7, we have Kayvon Wallace. This is, again, a versatile player that I've actually predicted before that the Lions may draft. I love Kayvon Wallace's ability to play different spots. I mean, that's really what it is when it comes to safety spot for me. I just want guys that can do different things. Number 9, Antoine Winfield Jr. And if you're like, why are you so into versatile players? Because that's what Bob Quinn is into. If you've heard Bob Quinn talk about drafts before, he loves guys that can do different things. He signs guys that just because they can do different things. Big V, I think a huge reason I signed him is because he can play guard. That's why. And he can play both tackles. So it's huge. Versatility is huge when it comes to the Lions. Winfield Jr. Some people would say he's a top 3 safety. He's not that high for me for a couple of reasons. One reason, injury history. That's not something I play around with. And 2, size. Again, his size just isn't great. And it's nothing bad. Like, injury history can be there, but it's going to drop you down a little bit. Like, you could still be a good pick. I mean, guys are going to deal with injuries. It happens. I mean, pretty much every player has dealt with an injury. It happens. But if it's serious and it's reoccurring, it's probably going to, drop you a little bit. I'm not saying don't take that player. It's just a little bit more concerning when it's a first, second round pick, because that's a guy that you're expecting to have immediate impact. That's all that is. And number 10, Tanner Muse. I think he can play again different spots. I think he could actually be a help in special teams. So I went Tanner Muse. I think he's a little bit slept on. And I know some of these are going to be surprises, but hey, this is just what I think. We're on a linebacker. Like I said, some of these are going to be surprises to you. They're not what everybody else says. I'm not trying to follow what everybody else says. I go off of what I feel and what I think of the players. That's how I do it. So that's just me. That's my own opinion. That's how I go about things. And look, even the players, people that say, oh, this guy's better because of this, they're not always right either. I'm not going to be right. I'm probably going to be wrong about a lot of this. They're just my thoughts. And I have to stick with my gut. I'm not going to just follow along with everybody else says, because that's not cool. I want to do what I feel, and that's how I feel with these positions. Number 1, we got Isaiah Simmons. I don't think I need to make a debate here. Most versatile player, maybe the most versatile player in this year's draft. Insanely good linebacker. Zach Bond, edge rusher. I listed him as linebacker, so he actually wasn't in the edge rusher. Did we look at edge rushers already? We did. You're probably like, why is he not there? He's my linebacker, so I put him at number 2. Again, versatile. The one problem I have is the urination thing that he had that was failed. That's a little bit concerning, but aside from that, I like him. Troy Dye at 3, probably the biggest shocker you've seen so far. Why is Troy Dye at 3? He's 6'4", so we got the size that Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn go after for linebackers, and he's very good at covering tight ends, something that we've struggled with for a long time. I'm looking at linebackers that give us something different than what we have. I don't want a run-stopping linebacker. We have Reggie Ragland, we have Jared Davis, we have Jelani Tavai. I need guys that can give us coverage. I need guys that can drop back and fill out on third downs. I need those players. That's why they're this high. And a guy like Troy Dye that has that, and he's also very physical and 6'4", and he has the size, that just seems like a perfect fit for the Detroit Lions. So these, maybe they're not the most talented players, but for the Lions, for their draft big board, I'm kind of predicting what their big board looks like. In my own way, it's kind of a weird twist on it. I'm putting Troy Dye at 3. Number 4, Patrick Queen. I think he's a heck of a player. Probably better than Patrick Queen. But the size is not as big as Troy Dye. That's really the only reason. Number 5, Akeem Davis-Gather. This is the linebacker of Appalachian State. Again, another guy that can help in coverage. Willie Gay flies around the field. Definitely some big concerns, though, with Willie Gay. I think he's one of the best linebackers in this group, and I don't think he gets credit for it. I think he's top 3 in, the NFL's linebacker list. He should be. The only thing I see wrong, well, not the only thing, but there's 2 concerns. Injuries and suspensions. Those 2 things Lions don't play around with. So, I definitely can see moving him down. So if y'all want me to move him down, like behind Kenneth Murray and that, I can definitely do that. Because next is Kenneth Murray, heck of a linebacker, just known as a run stopper, and that's not what we need. Logan Wilson can help in coverage. Number 9, we got Jordan Brooks, Texas Tech, again. Malik Harrison, again, more of a run stopper. He's got some size on him, but that's why they're lower on the list than the guys that are better against the pass. So that's how I'm going about this. Position, we have interior defensive line. I think we're finishing up the defense now. We're getting near the end of the defense. And here's my top 10. Number 1, we have Javon Kinlaw. Number 2, I have Derek Brown. Okay, I think those 2 are 1 and 2. I've always put Derek Brown above Javon Kinlaw. Until now, I'm putting Kinlaw above Derek Brown because at this point, I feel like Javon Kinlaw, something about Kinlaw being at the Senior Bowl and then the Twitter thing, I think Kinlaw is a better fit for the Lions. I'm just going to go out there and say it. But the thing about Derek Brown that he's more versatile. I think some people think Derek Brown's some kind of nose tackle that doesn't play different positions. Dude play literally every position in the book. All right? So he can move around. Number 3, Jordan Elliott. One of the biggest sleepers in this draft. I think he's incredible. He actually graded out higher than any other defensive lineman in the draft. So don't sleep on Jordan Elliott, please. And he played against great competition in the SEC. And some people were worried because, last year was his coming out party, but he's still a very good player. Number 4, I went Marlon Davidson. Kind of gives you a mix here of a guy that can play on the edge a little bit. I like that. Number 5, I went Justin Madubuike, a guy that I've predicted the Lions may draft. Madubuike gives you a nice little run stopper that can get some pressure as well with solid production. Number 6, Neville Gallimore, the Canadian bulldozer. He looks like a bulldozer. He actually dropped 30 pounds before last season. So, I really like Neville Gallimore in run stopping. I want more of a pass rusher, though. That's why he's a little bit lower. Number 7, Ross Blacklock. Again, more of a run stopper. I want more of a pass rusher, and that's why David Hamilton is right up there with Ross Blacklock, because David Hamilton can get you pass rush out of Ohio State. He's not the best at everything else, but his numbers are there for when it comes to getting pass rush. I think he had 6 sacks last season. Next up, number 9, Raekwon Davis. Honestly, if he would have just came out of the draft after 2017, which I don't think you can, but he would have probably been a first-round pick. This guy is an absolute monster. He's got the size. He has the talent at times. At times, he's shown flashes, but it's not consistent, which is a big concern there. So he's at number 9. And number 10, I went John Penicini. I don't know how to say his last name. Yeah, definitely a sleeper as well. I think Leaky Fotu is always the guy that gets the credit here. I think John was a little bit better when I was watching the two. So there's my top 10. Definitely some shocks there. I'm sure some of you guys are surprised by some of the list there. I'm looking for more of a pass rusher. Okay, that's kind of why I went with where I went. That's why Kinlaw's 1. That's why Elliott's up there. That's why Matabike and Marlon Davidson are both above Ross Blacklock and Gallimore. However, they're not bad players. I wouldn't be mad if we took them. I just think Danny Shelton gives you a run stopper. I want a guy that can help from defensive line, interior defensive line. If I'm getting interior defensive line, I need a guy that can get pass rush. Okay, and that's why I went higher that route. There is some concerns. Marlon Davidson, Justin Matabike, some concerns with how much they've actually played defensive line, stuff like that. David Hamilton, I think he gives a very good pass rush. And then Raekwon Davis and John, both of these guys, the potential's there. And I want to see the potential kind of go out, kind of just show up. And John is a guy that's just forgotten a lot. So next up, we have the quarterback position. Now, this one I only have 5 players. You're probably like, what the heck is this? I took out Tua, took out Joe Burrow, took out Justin Herbert, took out Jordan Love. Don't think there's any way we take a quarterback in the first round. I didn't want to waste my time with it, to be honest with you. I didn't think it made any sense to even put them on here. So I started off from after those players. Number 1, Jake Fromm. I've been very high on Jake Fromm. Number 2, I went Jalen Hurts. Number 3, Anthony Gordon. I think Anthony Gordon is a very, I wouldn't say good quarterback. I would say Anthony Gordon's an interesting quarterback. Shows up against some bad teams and he balls out. A lot of touchdowns, a lot of picks, but he kind of fell apart against his best competition, which is very concerning. Jacob Eason, big arm, potential's there. And then obviously Shea the Goat Patterson. I mean, come on, dog. Could I put anybody else there? Boom, we got wide receiver. Now this is probably I'm literally considering not even putting this on the big board. There's way too many wide receivers. I mean, I could add like 50 more. When they say the wide receiver class is deep, it's not just something that they say. Do one of these for fun. Go through, make a big board just on wide receivers, and look how many great wide receivers there are. There's 20 here, okay? CeeDee Lamb, Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, great wide receivers. I like Denzel Mims because he can go up and get it. I love T. Higgins of Clemson, all right? Visca Chenault, he can run after the catch pretty well. Jalen Reagor. For some reason, Jalen Reagor always pops my head as a big dude. He's 5'11", but he's got some insane speed. Brandon Ayuk, great run after the catch. Justin Jefferson, I always felt like he was making huge plays for Joe Burrow. Colin Johnson, very underrated. He has to crack the top 10 in my eyes. Colin Johnson is a beast out of Texas. Don't sleep. Number 11, Chase Claypool. Again, another guy with the big size. People thought he was tight end until he ran his 40. Donovan Peoples-Jones out of Michigan. Obviously, Michigan players, they're the best players on it. He honestly could be number 1. No, I'm playing. Number 13, KJ Hamler out of Penn State. Could be your next slot wide receiver. Upside for sure. He's a little bit lower than most people think, though. Yeah. So, number 4, but it's so good. I mean, literally, who could I put him above? Maybe Peoples-Jones. But come on, man. I mean, these guys could all be. I mean, Colin Johnson, I think, is going to be the guy that gets hate. They're going to be like, move him down. But I like Colin Johnson. Come on now. And I think he could also be a later pick for us. Michael Pittman Jr. out of USC. Very cool player. He actually has a YouTube channel. Check it out. Number 15, Tyler Johnson out of Minnesota. Their offense came alive last year in Big Ten play. And Tyler Johnson was a big reason. Van Jefferson out of Florida, one of the top wide receivers. Just fell a little bit here. Devin Duvernay out of Texas could be our next slot. He looks like a guy that can play running back. I don't know why. Quintez Cephas, I hope I'm saying that name right, can play. I think he could be a day 1 starter, maybe move the slot a little bit. He's got some nice hands. Isaiah Hodgins, though, has the best hands. And then Antonio Gandy-Golden, a late-round sleeper. So those are my top 20. Literally, that just shows how deep it is. Next position. I'm going to try to speed this up. We got running back. These are my top 10 running backs in the draft. Let's go through them. Number 1, DeAndre Swift. Number 2, J.K. Dobbins. Number 3, Jonathan Taylor. Actually, here's what I'm doing with these guys. They're all tied. I literally cannot pick one above the other, so I'm tying them. They all give you different things. DeAndre Swift gives you a mix of both. J.K. Dobbins gives you a guy that I don't think is going to be a lone back, which may be perfect for the Lions because they do run by committee a little bit. And Jonathan Taylor's an absolute workhorse. Depending on what you need, that's how you draft them. I don't know how you draft them. They're in 1, 2, 3, but there's no way I can put 1, 1, 1, so... Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that Jonathan Taylor's worse than Swift. It's just literally because I can't put 1 on 1. Next up, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Okay, beast out of LSU that can catch the football. Cam Akers has a real shot at being one of the top 3 running backs in this draft, and I think he's forgotten because of those big 3. But he's up there. Zach Moss out of Utah, who I've talked about before. I like Zach Moss. Some people say he runs weird. Number 7, I almost said Antonio Gandy-Golden. Antonio Gibson out of Memphis can play wide receiver, can play running back. Was actually this for a wide receiver as a long time, then went to the combine. He's running back. Antonio Gibson has hands that we need, and, he's an absolute legend. I should have put him number 1. Number 8, we have Keyshawn Vaughn, a guy that's not talked about enough out of Vanderbilt, has the ability to, break some tackles, yards after contact. That's huge for me. A.J. Dillon, number 9, kind of a bowling ball. And number 10, JaMycal Hasty. Okay, I put 2 guys in here that are not talked about enough, and that's Keyshawn and that's JaMycal. Check him out. That's my top 10 running back. Stop. It's just because I'm talking so much, y'all. I need some water. At number 1, this is offensive tackles and interior offensive linemen combined. If you guys want me to separate these, I can. I just did this to save time, but again, I can. So, number 1, I went Jedrick Wills. Right tackle, I think he would fit perfectly in our offense. You move Big V to guard, and we're set. Cesar Ruiz, I also think he'd work really well, too, because he's the best interior offensive lineman in this draft, and you could just put him at guard, and you're good to go. Honestly, you could put him at center, move Frank Wright at guard, but I wouldn't do that. So, there you go. Number 3, I got Tristan Wirfs, who is out of Iowa. Can play right tackle and left tackle. Versatility, you see what I'm doing here? Number 4, we got Andrew Thomas, out of Georgia. The concern here is that he's a left tackle, but maybe he can bump to guard, or maybe Taylor Decker can move. I'm not sure. We haven't seen it, though, so that's my one concern. That's why he's lower than everybody else. However, he has graded out. I think he's the best tackle. Number 5, Tyler Biadasz. Yes, number 5. Okay, an absolute stud with injury concerns, but he still plays. Like, he's not missing games, so he's at number 5. Number 6, Damian Lewis out of LSU. Battle-tested, ready to play. Number 7, Jonas Jackson out of Ohio State. Very good offensive lineman. I'm seeing people pick him in like a 5th round. Stop it. This guy's a 3rd round pick at least. Number 8, Mekhi Becton. Why is he lower than Jonah Jackson? Because he's a left tackle and he doesn't grade out super well. And then he had a problem where, he tested, what was it? Something with his test, like he failed a drug test, I think. That's not good. Josh Jones at number 9. Offensive tackle once again here out of Houston. Number 10, Nite Mutai. Fresno State offensive lineman. Maybe the best interior offensive lineman talent-wise. But, man, this dude just doesn't play enough because he's always hurt. So I put him at number 10. Cornerback. This is probably the one I know the most about. Let's get it started. Number 1, Jeffrey Okudah. I still think he's the best corner in this draft. I don't think I'd take him at 3, though. Number 2, Christian Fulton. Out of LSU, can play zone and man-to-man and press. Can fit in really any defense. Has great ball skills. Number 3, Cameron Dantzler, the absolute most slept-on player by the national media. Number 4, C.J. Henderson, who has all the traits to be great. Just needs to show it. Number 5, Trayvon Diggs. He's got the size. His cousin is a wide receiver in the NFL. He looks like a wide receiver at times. He was converted from a wide receiver and kick returner to a cornerback. Heck of a player in Trayvon Diggs. But potential is there. He also scares you a lot when you watch him because, whoa, you got to stop grabbing people. Number 6, we got Jeff Gladney. Jeff Gladney stepped up and held his own. Even though he's not the biggest cornerback, he held his own against very big wide receivers. Number 7, Jalen Johnson. Good coverage corner. Very physical at the line. Again, good press corner. Problem is he's kind of slow. So, yeah. 40 isn't that bad. He just doesn't look that fast on the field. Number 8, A.J. Terrell. Didn't love it. A.J. Terrell is hyped. I don't see it. I'm not going to lie. I don't see it. I really don't. So, he's at number 8. Number 9, Bryce Hall. Very good ball skills. Very good ball skills from Bryce Hall. And number 10, we got Noah Igbenogany. So, that is your top 10 cornerbacks. And that's it. I think that's every position. I'm going to try to put them all in one. Let me know some changes you got to make. I'm going to try to put this out again. Probably not a lot of editing here. It's just simply because I want your guys' feedback. Again, this is not the final copy, just what I got so far. This is what I've been working on. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.